Hello and welcome to our Saturday stream. This is map and image creation for Fantasy Grounds Unity. I'm Josh, and thank you guys so much for joining me today. I stream every Saturday or most every Saturday from 3 p.m. And then we usually run till around 6. So thank you guys so much, and we'll be jumping right into it today. We're going to be continuing the creation of the regional map that we started last time, but I'm also going to be talking about the map packs that will be coming out this month. So we have two of them for the month, the art packages. One is going to be an updated cemetery art package, and then the other one is abandoned places. And there's going to be a second one to that one coming out the following month as well. So a lot of stuff coming your way, and Abandoned Places is the first in our iteration of modern art packages, and it's kind of a post-apocalyptic image set, and I'm just going to show them off quickly. And again, these are going to be coming out this month. We're not going to go in there. We want to go into our assets, and we will jump right in here. The first one is Abandoned Places. Here we have a whole bunch of new brushes for different kind of elements. As you can see here, here's a nice worn kind of concrete, which you can paint out into particular areas, as well as new roof. We have some wall brushes that we can use to create lots of different walls, and everything's kind of coated in growth and lots of different fun kind of stuff there. And let's jump up. We have our decorations, and we have tons of decorations. As you can see, we have all kinds of street signs and street lights, parking meters, all kinds of stuff here. And then we have some like junked automobiles with some different parts and whatnot. So this is pretty fun. We can go into further decorations. We have tons of litter and debris, everything that you guys have ever wanted. And we have like broken glass and like these little collections of different debris amounts, as well as papers and trash bags, tires, all kinds of cool stuff there. And if we go back up, we also have lots of new nature elements as well. Some new plants, obviously rocks, and so on. And then we've come out into our effects. We have some nice kind of like grime elements that you can use other art packages, and then you can commit them to a similar style by adding in a new kind of, or the same kind of grunge that I put over the top of these other images. And then we have a whole bunch of new tiles. So tons of new floors, again, all kind of grimy, but now we have some roads, more roofs, and the like. So you can build all kinds of cool places. So just a little, I was actually building some earlier, and you can see that these work exceptionally well. I think they really kind of lend to that post-apocalyptic kind of cool environment stuff here. Perfect for that zombie apocalypse games you guys have all wanted to be running, right? And in our new cemetery art package, again, we have all kinds of new brushes with stone tile paths and whatnot. As you can see, we got a crack brush, so you can make cracks across some of the stonework, as well as wrought iron metal fences. And stone work around things, more stone walls, and so on. We can go into our decorations, and here we have all kinds of cool decorations, lots of different gates and monuments, tons of lots of gravestones and grave markers, as well as sarcophagi. And these are pretty cool too. So they have lots of nice little details to them, which you can use in your games and create those kind of spooky games that you might be wanting to do for Halloween. And again, we have some stone patches, some cracks that you can kind of layer onto things. And once these are released, we'll be diving in and creating some of the map content with them as well. And we can go into our tiles, and here we have like a bunch of different grave setup where you can just kind of drag and drop these. Oh yes, I'm very excited about it as well. Play games padding. In fact, and I have a whole second iteration of it that's ready to go. It's be coming out the following month. So the two combined, you'll be able to create urban areas, rural areas, interiors, exteriors, the whole 9 yards. They got lots and lots. So that the first art pack has over 200 images in it, and the second one has over 300 images in it. So those combined, you should be pretty well in for creating all of those different kind of contents. And when you mix that with some of the interior art packs and some of the other ones, you really have a vast array of things that you can kind of use there. Oh, well, thank you. I'm feeling much better, Svenster. Does the art pack look like your house? I hope not. All right, so let's get into our creation here. I know that Dave did not stream this week, but he'll be back. And I think that we might have done... Let's see, where did we hide this and what did we name it? Oh yeah, I'll have the camera back once I'm in full going. It'll probably be back this next week here. Now let's see if we can uncover where we put this here. That's not it, is it? We got some missing elements here because I have removed some of the art packages and put them back. But those will be all. These are actually all correct. I just don't have those art packages actually. Let's see here. It must be here somewhere. And here we have like a cemetery that I built, a small one with the cemetery art package. Here it is. I have uncovered it. We should be putting this in a separate place. And this is the map that we started last week. So we got a lot to do on this today, and if we get through this, we'll move on to creating some of the other areas in through here. Maybe we'll begin to create the actual little towns and whatnot. But we still have a ways to go here, and lots and lots that we can kind of do. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of our water. I'm going to make it a little bit bluer, and I'm going to unify it a little bit. This stands out a little bit too much for me. We have a very kind of subtle map that we have going on here, and I'm actually going to hide the clouds here momentarily so that we can kind of work on this unhindered. And so here we have all of our water, including our painting, right? So if we hide this, we hide all of our water. So what I'm actually going to do is switch over to the layers panel over here, and we can just grab our color picker, and I'm just going to start to drop down some of these other colors to move it a little bit more to the blue, and that's a little bit too bright, so I'm just going to be dragging this down. I want it to be a little bit more subdued. That might be a little bit too dark. And we'll just be adjusting it here a little bit. Find what's going to be work the best for us. I think we'll move all of them down a little. Yeah, that doesn't show too much. It doesn't have enough contrast, so let's move this up some. So let's make it a little bit lighter. And maybe what I'll actually do is just kind of drag around in here until I get something that's pretty close to what I'm thinking. Maybe something like this that I'm going to now add in some of this red to. And we'll up the green a little bit to bring it a little bit brighter. Yeah, I think that that's going to work pretty well. Maybe we'll just go with like a tad darker from this. Maybe we'll do something like 205 here, and we'll make this like 215. Yeah, I like that. And as you can see here, we're going to be doing this all just in this one folder, and that's going to take care of all of the water elements in there. We can adjust this as we go as well. And we may even want to add in, we can actually add in some an effect layer that might tone him down a little bit as well. We shall see. We shall see. We have these nice mountain ranges. We have one here and one here with this one lonely mountain here. Lots of texture and whatnot. We have our forested areas all built up. And I think what we'll do is we'll add in one more effects layer right now. Let's go to in time of day. This is going to bring out a lot of the contrast of the entire image. And I'm going to drop it down in underneath the frame. And this is going to really help separate it from the frame here. I can adjust the amount a little and also the time. And you can see that we can change some of these. I really like this filter a lot, this effects layer. And maybe we'll just drop down the amount some. And then we can check it to see how it kind of interacts with it by turning it off. And you can see, look how much more contrast that it's going to bring out for us. Very cool. And then when we add in our clouds, here we have these cool clouds that are just kind of drifting across. And we have it separated out into these other areas here. So we get a nice little kind of valley here that we're going to be using. We're going to be actually creating, I want to do like a nice river that kind of runs up. And I'm going to be creating my own river here. Yeah, that'll be fun. So before we get going too much further in some of this stuff, and this is one of the reasons why I like interacting with these on this particular level, is that we can, now I can come back into here and I can add in painted elements and I don't have to worry about the color, right? So if I want to add in maybe some other lakes. So let's open up our assets here. And I'm going to go all the way back up in here. Let's just elongate this. And I'm going to move this one over. Something like that. We have a little bit more room to work with. What I'm actually going to do is go into the regional map pack here. And I'm just going to type in lake. And then here we can see we have all these different lake formations. So I can grab something like this. And I can just stamp it in here. You can see it's going to adhere to this. That's a little bit too large. Drop it maybe next to these ones. And you can see we can interact with all of these things exactly the same way. Do river, and we can do this the same as grab a little river coming off this lake. Something like that. Great. I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building our town right in here. So before we get going too much further, I'm going to go into my GM symbols. And if we get into this one, we have a whole bunch of different symbols that we're going to be using to denote all of these different areas, right? So we have a house one that we can use to do all of our smaller towns. And then we have more elaborate kind of buildings and castles and whatnot. So these are going to be for the larger cities and so on and so forth. So we can begin to paint these around as well. And what I'm going to do is we should start to name some of these, right? So this we're going to call this shadow or frame shadow actually. And we'll call this one frame. And that way we'll just have a little bit better understanding and I can know where everything kind of lays out here. So we're going to make a new painting layer and we're going to call this one symbols. And what we'll actually do is we'll be doing a lot of like decorative kind of elements to really start to bring out this, make it feel more like a map rather than like a photo here. And so we'll grab this little guy. And again, I'm going to change all of the colors at once at the end in my layers tab. So what do you think? Should we change this to a hex? We should definitely change it to a hex grid, right? Let's increase this a little bit so that we can kind of see it. And we can change the color here, make it a little bit more visible. Definitely should be a hex grid, right? Overland maps. Then we can switch back over, and I'm going to put this underneath my time of day as well. And we'll stamp this guy right in here. This will be our main town. And we could also color code all of our symbols. Might be kind of interesting for different countries and regions. We should even make crests and whatnot for the areas, and we could even place them in the region itself, like create a little crest for this area. What do you guys think? Really go all out here. And we'll do a boat that we're going to be putting down in this region. So what kind of elements do you think that we should have in and around the area here? Let's do some ruins. Yes, mines and ruins. Right, we should definitely do some mines in the mountains, shouldn't we? And maybe we'll do like this is some kind of grasslands. We'll do some windmills. This is where it gets super fun for me. I feel like this is where like the creativity really begins to enter in. We can use something like this and I'll make it a little bit smaller. Maybe we'll say that there's an entrance to some mines here. And if you want to hold down control, you can snap to the grid, and this will go directly in the middle of all the different hexes. Ooh, a garrison. I like that as well. And what we'll do is maybe we'll do like a large city down here, right on the little inlet here. I think we'll go with a more traditional kind of castle. And we should do a lighthouse down here. And probably there should be one on this side as well. And we'll just kind of do some points of interest around. Give some fuel for Dave to kind of let his imagination go and create. Yeah, I think that's pretty good for right now. Maybe we'll do another like small little town or a couple other towns in nearby. Maybe something like here, and then we can do one perhaps out here in the hills. And we can create all of our different roadways and whatnot. Build out a whole bunch of different stuff. Yeah, I'm really starting to dig this map. I think it's very cool. Great. Now that we have these, we're going to switch over, and then I'm going to grab the color picker here. Now I can change all of these colors and kind of see how they're going to interact. Oh yeah, we could definitely do a festival going on near one of the towns. Yeah, we have some tents. Well, a tent. We have a temple. All types of cool stuff. So yeah, maybe we will. We'll grab. Maybe one of these towns has like a permanent festival. I think that we'll do the river kind of coming up this way, and then coming up and around, and kind of ending up by this town. So maybe what we'll do is we'll place this next door to it. Perfect. And these would be great for denoting like war camps as well. You could do lots of different stuff. Oh, we should do a wizard's tower somewhere, right? Maybe on this mountain. Perfect. So what we'll actually do now, we have this all set up here. I'm going to cancel that out. Pick out a new one. We can change these colors be whatever we wish, right? We want something that is going to be kind of stand out a little bit, and something that's going to be a little bit contrasty with the background. And I'm not going to worry about them being too dark right now because I'm actually going to be putting a little burst behind them. We're going to be creating another one. We could even make them black if we wanted to. And maybe we'll start off with something like this, and then I'll show you. I'm going to create a new painting layer, and we're going to drop it underneath our symbols. And I'm just going to call this symbols back. And here we have some nice little kind of bursts here we can put right behind them. And again, I'm going to keep it white, and I'm just going to kind of place these behind. And I'm going to change the color if I so desire. And this is going to really make them stand out, you see. And I'm just holding down Control so it snaps right to the middle of the grid. Because I am changing the colors after the fact here, I can constantly kind of change them. And if I want to, I can make it a little bit bigger. And we have this nice little kind of interaction here. See, this one's a little bit off. So I'm gonna fix it. I'm just gonna come in here. I'm gonna grab my eraser. I'll shrink it down a little bit. We'll just delete that one. And I can go back into my symbols and grab the windmill here once again. Because I've done this on the layer, I don't have to change anything. When I stamp it, it's going to go right to that same kind of color. That is dictated by the layer itself. And now we can come in here and I'm going to adjust this. And we can adjust this color as well. So if we don't want it to be white like this, maybe we want it to be a little bit on the slight greenish side, a green-blue. And you can see now we instantly kind of have a really good understanding of where everything is. And we can zoom in and get even a better look at it. Excellent. Look at all of this cool stuff that we've done. Now let's go back into our, we have all kinds of letters and whatnot that we can use as well. We could even have like circles and things, so we could put like borders around it. We could really build it up and do lots of cool. But if we go back into our regional map pack, we also have a whole bunch of symbols here, not these ones, but in our decoration. We have lots of decorative kind of elements, and I'm going to drop these right onto the same kind of thing here. And you can see we have these cool, like, look at how cool these clouds are that are moving across slowly. Adds a whole bunch of neat kind of interactions here. So let's go back into our painting layer, and whatever I paint in is going to adhere to the same kind of color. So let's drop in something like this. As you can see, we have like a little decorative kind of element. And I think what I'll do is maybe drop this somewhere in the middle up here. We'll even make it a little bit bigger. And again, this is just like maybe like a seal. So I'm going to actually show you guys a little trick that you can do if you want to make this look embossed or whatever. I'm going to hit Control Z. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drop this down. Actually, let's make a new painting layer for this stuff. I'll drop it down in underneath here. I'm going to do this here. I'll just kind of show you here. So I'm going to do a black one. And I'm going to do it just a little bit off to the side. And then I'm going to make one that is all the way white. And I'm going to do it a little bit to the upper edge here. See, that's already kind of looking like a drop shadow. And then I'm going to do one in the middle. I can do this right between the two. And that's going to make us kind of look like it's a little bit embossed. Just like that. Like we have some sort of raised seal that we've created here. And now what I can do, because I have done all of this in here, I can go into the Layers tab and then I can change this to any color that I want to. And I'm going to do some similar kind of stuff around. I'm going to do some these like corner decorations. We're just going to do a little bit up in the corners, and I'm not going to get as seal as this. This is kind of like the royal seal of an official map or something along those lines. So let's drop in a couple of these, maybe one here, and then I'm just going to flip it. I'm not going to be too precise about this. I'll flip it this way. And then I'll flip it the other way here. And we also have some additional side filigrees, but we have all of these cool ships and whatnot as well as some scrolls that we can kind of place around when we're going to be doing all of our namesakes and whatnot. So now what I'm going to do, let's drag one of these out. Let's say that there is sea monsters out this way. And actually, let's use this one. And I think what I'll do is just lower down the opacity of this one a bit, a little bit more subtle. Very cool. Now let's jump over into our area over here and let's change these colors and let's see what's going to work best for us here. As you can see, we can change this and this is going to work exactly the same. We're just going to be adding some additional kind of colors to it. And again, I don't want anything that's going to be too intrusive. But we want to make something that's going to be working well down here as well. So we're probably going to have to keep it pretty light. Maybe we'll just drop down the opacity a little. Yeah, I think that that's probably going to work the best overall. But we might want to make it a little bit on the brown side as well. Yeah, that's cool. I want to make it a little bit darker. So to make things darker in this way, we just move things to the left. See, I really like how subtle some of this is. Nice. We're creating a very cool map here. Yes, a royal map. Great. Now what we can do is I'm actually going to be painting out the river now. And then once we get up into this area, we'll kind of trail it off. And we'll probably do some nice little elements as well. And I'm going to show you guys what we're actually going to be doing is duplicating this kind of feel, right? We're going to be doing the same kind of color as before. I'm going to show you guys a nice little trick to do that as well. And we're going to do it in a couple of different ways here. So we're actually going to be painting out this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to match up the color to the original. So what I'll do is in the frame layer here, you can see that we've changed the color here. We're going to create a new test layer here. And I should make this decorations. This is just going to be for testing out some of this stuff and creating what I'm going to do. I'll kind of show you. We're going to go into our regional map. I'm going to grab one of these lakes. I think it's just lake. So we can pull this out, and I'm going to make this quite a bit bigger. Let's make it like 4x4. And I'm going to use the color picker to grab this color, and I'm going to paint out with a regular type of brush here. And on the outside here, you can see that we have like this black kind of line, and we're gonna emulate that as well. So I'm going to do that a couple of different ways, and I'll kind of show you how this is going to work here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, I'm going to kind of fudge some of this a little bit. And on this particular, I'm going to call this river. And then once we have it all done, we're going to drop it down in here into the actual water area. Because we use the folder to change all of our watercolor, it's going to change it and match it perfectly with everything else that we've done here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a I think we'll just do the river first, and then we'll add the outline in after. So I'm going to grab the color picker here because I want the little eyedropper tool. And as you can see, I can grab this color, hit OK. And now I can begin to paint this out right across here. And I'm not going to worry about the blend right here, right now. All I'm going to be doing is kind of just drawing this out. And so I'm going to be dragging it along, and I'm going to be holding down my mouse button to kind of paint out the direction that I want it to go. And then as I get closer, I'm going to be making smaller and smaller lines to kind of taper it. And then I'll be actually adding in some of the river elements. And then finally, I'll erase this in case I need to grab that color again. I'll keep it there. So here's where I'm going to start. I'm just holding down my mouse button. And I'm just going to make it kind of crazy. Here we have this nice river. Whoop. And then I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And if I have a break like that, I'm just going to kind of fill it in. We'll have it really meandering here for a minute. And then I'm going to make it smaller. And all of these little areas in through here, I can now just come in and kind of paint that right over. And that last bit is funky. And then I'm going to make it smaller. And then smaller. And then it's going to come right through the edge of town here. And then we'll have it kind of taper off. Excellent. And now I'll come back in and just kind of fix some of these. See, we want these kind of jagged edges. We want it to feel very much like a natural kind of element here. Yeah, very cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this little section here. And we're going to drop this down right into our water area. That should have updated it. Hold on. You might need to readjust this color again. There we go. And you can see that this is going to match up right with all of the other water elements here. And I'm even going to grab a little bit of this color and I'm going to add that right in. And then we'll be adding in a little bit of that black outline as well here. And I'm going to be doing that underneath it. So I can just kind of go along the edge here with a little bit of a wider brush and just add that in addition to that. And we can do that a couple of different ways. I might just duplicate this and darken it and move it a little bit to the edge. We'll see what works best for us. And now we want to go back into our painting area here. Let's grab this. Get out of here, you. Oh, it's we just dropped it out here, so we can just delete it. And I'm going to grab one of these tiles and drag this out, right? Because I want to grab this color now. And I'm going to go back into my river here and grab the color picker once again. Grab this, and I'm going to grab this color now. Hit OK. And now I'm going to paint in a little bit here. And we have a little bit of a funkiness around the edge there, and that's okay. I'm just going to actually, I'll grab something that is a little bit of a fuzzier thing. We should actually probably do that anyway. I'm going to undo that. Let me grab this right here. This is what we should actually be using. Stamp tool. And there we go. We could even, maybe I'll just drop down the opacity a little bit, holding down A and using my mouse wheel. And then I'm just going to stamp it in a little. And you can see we've blended in that perfectly. So now we have our river created here. And I can delete this. And we'll be adding in some of our little offshoots and whatnot as well, but I think we'll just use some of the pre-made ones and just kind of stamp them along the way. So let's try something here. I'm going to duplicate this layer. We've created rid of that. Let's drop this right in under. Oh, let's do it over the top at first. And this one, I'm actually going to grab this and make it completely black. We'll drop it down in underneath. I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to use my arrow keys to move it just a little bit on the edge here. And we'll have to delete or erase some of it on this down here. And we don't want it to be too much of an outline, but we want it to kind of match everything that we have before. You can see we've created a nice little outline there. And I'm going to duplicate this one. Except we're going to go in the other direction now. And there we have a nice, well, it's a pretty rough kind of outline, but once we add in some of the additional elements and stuff, it'll fade in a little bit better there. And now we're going to go back into our painting and grab our eraser tool, and you see all of this stuff down here. We're going to get rid of all of this. And we're going to back off our image here a little bit. Let's hide this one at the moment. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that because I want it to be a little bit more controlled here. And I might have to come in with a, yeah, I'll probably just come in with a little bit smaller of a black brush, and we'll tidy this up a little. And there we go. Now I'll go on to this particular river area here. And I'm going to go up into this area. We'll grab some of these. And I'll just stamp these like right onto the edge. So how's everybody doing this week? Hopefully well. And we can turn off our aspect lock ratio and change some of these parameters. It's a little bit too exaggerated. Excellent. I think what we'll do is, I think this is still a little bit too bright. You guys think we should make it a little bit darker? Not quite that dark. Maybe something like that. Yeah, that's going to work. And then we'll have to go back in and do these individually. Very cool. Oh, are you? Did you get your portrait painted? Can't wait to see it. I think we'll change this color now a little bit. Maybe we'll just keep them white and drop down the opacity. Oh, is it? Let's check it out. Let's see here. Yes, drum roll. Which one is it? Let's see. Is it a thief? Probably the last one. That one was Cobalt Mail. Oh, half elf rogue. Nice. This one's mine. Very cool. This one's Doug's. This one? It's great. I love it. So much fun. This one's Carl's. Yeah, I think that they're all really great. This is Zacchaeus. Yeah, I think they're all super fun. Awesome. So I think that we have a pretty good start to our regional map. I'll be, we'll be naming it. And so I'll be exporting this and handing it off to Dave. We can add in a whole bunch of new stuff to it as well. But that's going to be a pretty good start, I think. Super fun. Here, I'm going to just lower down the opacity of the grid just a little bit. That way, when we zoom in, we get to see it. It's not too intrusive. Very, very cool. All right, now we have this one all completed. We will end it on that, and I'm going to take a short break. Oh, awesome. Thanks, FGA. I think it will be too, and and then we'll be releasing it free on the Forge so that people can use it or experiment with it or alter it in any way that they want to. Lots of fun stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to take a short break. Let's move this out, though, actually. And then we'll come back, and we're going to be starting to build something new. I'm going to put it into the uncategorized. There it is. Yeah. We zoom out, it still has some appeal. And the great thing about doing it in layers like this is that if we want to hide the symbols, for example, we can. And we can keep these as GM only if we wanted to. All right, so I'm going to take a short break, and then I'll be right back. I'm just going to freshen up my beverages, and then we're going to dive in and start to build something new. We're going to be staying on the same kind of topic. We're going to be building some areas. I'm probably going to actually start off with the town itself. So we'll do little sections of that as well, and we'll probably dive in and do even the interiors and whatnot as we progress through this. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a moment. All right, and I'm back. Thanks for waiting for me. Oh, looks like we have a question here. Are there plans for a draw and fill tool? Yes, so there has been talk about it. It is not in the current in the near future, but yes, there may be at some point something along the lines that you're talking about, like a resizable textured area that you can kind of use a seamless texture to fill in a certain segment, as well as masking out images as well. So we talked about all of that kind of stuff. So you could actually take a larger image and mask out whatever area you're not going to be using of that particular image. So all of those things could be in the future. If you're interested in kind of pushing for that, I would urge you to go to the Idea Informer and put it there as well. That's what our primary tool that we use to judge the importance of tasks. Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, I would love to have all those things too. Believe me, I would. Great. So let's move on here. We're going to be creating. So basically, what we're going to be doing is we have this nice, large kind of regional area, right? And then we're going to get into smaller and smaller areas, and this is going to be the town by which that we will be focusing on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a town map, which is going to be another. I wouldn't exactly call it a regional or battle map. It's going to be somewhere in between. And then we will do actual interiors of places, or more of like a battle map of particular places of the town in a little bit more detail. We should probably just make a new category. Let's add one. Edit. Down of Unity. And then I will go into the uncategorized. Grab this. Drop that in there. And I think I'm going to rename this one to be regional. And now we're going to start a new map here. And let's see, what would be the best way to kind of go about this? We have lots of different elements here that we could kind of use. I guess the first is maybe we should wait on this until Dave kind of gives us a little bit more background on the size of the town, what other elements we might want to put in there. It's one thing that we don't want to do is do a lot of like double work or re-editing. So we may put that off for a week. I may just dive into doing something a little bit different today. What do you guys think? Should we do a Halloween themed map instead? I kind of want to do a spooky cemetery. Oh, the abandoned pack. Should we dive into that? Sure. Let's do it. I'm going to go into the Halloween maps for sure. We'll be doing Halloween maps all this month. And then once we have a few all set up, as well as the ones that I did for the coastal map packs, I'll be putting all of those on the Forge, and you guys will have them all for free in addition. So let's jump into the 2019 art package, and I'm going to grab one of these backgrounds. I think what I'm actually going to do is grab the grass one. Just drag and drop this over here. You can see it's going to start right up in here. And we're going to call this one Halloween. Cemetery. And let's set our grid size. I'm going to do 100 by 100. And I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to move it over, set it into a square here. And again, we're going to drop down the opacity of our grid. And I'm just going to start it off with a small section here, and we may add on to it, but 25 by 25 will be pretty good. For right now, we'll do a couple of cool little things here. Oh right, we're not doing the cemetery. We're doing an abandoned place, right? So we'll do Halloween. Abandoned. We'll do like maybe an abandoned house with like some stuff in the yard and what. I got all confused. Yeah, we'll jump into that stuff. And then so these will be coming out this month. They're not out yet, but they will be out this month. And then we'll go all the way up and we go into our abandoned art packs here. And I'm actually we'll build a little building first. So I'm gonna go into tiles. Well, actually, let's go into the abandoned, and I'm just gonna type in floor. We got a whole bunch of different floors here. And so we'll start off with maybe like a stone floor here. This is one that's going to be coming out this month, which is the Abandoned Places map pack. This has not been released yet, but it will be. Let's go with this one. I'm actually going to do this on a painting layer. And what we'll actually do is go into the interior map pack 2. And I'm also going to, oh, we have our floors one right here. We have a whole bunch of different floors here as well. So I'm actually going to back over to the painting area here. And we'll do like a little wooden area in the entryway. And in our effects, I'm going to grab this little grunge guy. You can see we're going to blend this right in here. And I actually have a couple more of these that are in the actual art pack. So And I'm going to break up some of it. See, we have these nice little patterns on the floor, and then we have all of this kind of stuff that's growing on top of it. Yep, that's the reason. So here we have this nice little base area here, and we're going to be bouncing back and forth between our abandoned places and our actual interior map pack, doing this little section over here. And I'm actually using the this kind of grass background. We're going to be painting in some dirt and whatnot over the top of it. And I'm just going to call this house floor. And we'll create a new layer, and this will be house. I should probably stick to a naming convention. What do you think? And I'm thinking maybe something along these lines. This one. Got this guy. I don't think I want rounded. I think I'm just going to do. And that's the wrong. It's just. I'll actually start here. Start here. I have some corners. I don't know if I've added it into my test art package. I have actual corners that you can kind of lay over the top of these. Maybe I'll grab one and just kind of drop it in here really quickly. Just to clean this up a little. Let me locate it. So you guys playing at any games this weekend? Weekends seem to be the busy time for these kinds of things, aren't they? Well, here's a corner, not particularly the one that I wanted, but it'll work. Well, actually, you know what? To make things a little bit simpler, why don't we go into the and I think there are some corners. Or is that in the let's see here. Yeah, here we have. I think that we can make one of these work. I'll just bend it over the edge there a little bit. Do something like this. And I'm going to just adjust the colors a little bit, and then we'll blend it in. And I'm actually going to drop down the opacity a little, but we can do this right in the program now. Hitting those A's. Do you like Game of World? Bella Muerte? Ooh, Call of Cthulhu and Traveler. That sounds fun. Yeah, I would love to play or run a Call of Cthulhu. I think we can do something like this. And then what I'm going to do is I will do some of that grime texture right over the top. Blend that right in. But this will be a lot easier for you guys when you have the actual corners in here. We'll probably use a different wall for this out here. This will be like the main structure wall in here. Now let's go back into our abandoned places. And let me grab the this guy. And again, I'm going to hold down A, change that opacity a little bit. Ooh, yeah, that sounds fun. And that doesn't quite blend in as well. It should be a little bit lighter. But that's all right. No one's ever going to notice it. Except for me. And you guys now. Showed it to you. Awesome. And let's go into our brushes, and we have some other walls here as well. Let's grab some of these other ones. Yeah, let's do something like this. Maybe what we'll do is we'll have a little entryway here where the walls change, and we'll do some steps and stuff here. And again, we'll do something for the corners here. And we'll just put right in this. And this isn't exactly right. Oh, maybe we should do. Yeah, I think those will be okay. We'll just cover those up with some of the prime stuff. Oh, very cool. How is the Alien RPG? I know that it's developed quite a lot of popularity. Nice. And what I'm actually going to do is just cap these off with very cool. Oh, yes. I like light systems as well. I like things that are like Savage Worlds is so. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility in there, but it is very straightforward. So here we have our base structure, and so we'll begin to add some of the like decorations and whatnot in here. Ooh, yeah, I like that. I like that fear of constant threat. You know, 5e, it's kind of tough to kill the players sometimes. Oh, you know what we should do before we leave today? We should create a crest on the regional map that we were working. I think that that would be super fun. Okay, so let's get into our decorations here. And we want to add some litter and whatnot. So let's do like some cardboard boxes. So I'm going to create a new painting layer. I'm going to put it in between these two. And this is what I'm going to use to kind of like decorate in here. Maybe we'll put some like cardboard boxes over here in the corner. And we have individual pieces of debris and whatnot. But I think, oh, we should put like some tables and stuff in here as well. And we'll do some broken glass. I'm going to put this right on the floor. And I'm going to lower down the opacity of this. It kind of just feels like this. Maybe we'll have like a broken window over here. We have individual pieces, but then we also have like these little really quick to throw on little like conglomerates. And it's all like just nasty, gross, covered gunk. And we can go down onto our floor here, and maybe we'll do some like newspapers. Do some coming out from underneath the cardboard. I'm going to try and keep these separated for easy um, creation of shadows later. And maybe we'll do like a couple of trash bags in here. Oh yeah, rock or brick. That's a great idea. All right, let's grab, we can go back into our decorations and we have some nature ones here. And we'll even do like some leaves on the floor. And again, I'm going to hold down A and I'm going to drop down that opacity. That's a little bit too light. I think I'll do this with one of the textures, actually. I think that, yeah, I think so. But we'll grab a rock. Oh, maybe we'll just grab a rock from a single smaller rock. We'll grab a traffic sign. Put a stop sign. Why do I want to put that there? We want to do it on the wall. And I'll grab a rock from, let's do it from the 2019 art pack. And now let's go into the interior map pack 2. Grab a table. Kind of put it like kitty corner over here. Actually, let's put it over when I get too much stuff all together here. And then maybe like a smaller table that might be up. Over here. And now let's type in chair. Now this is starting to look like an abandoned house, don't you think? And we'll go back to our abandoned area here. Perfect. Now let's go into our nature elements here. And we'll create a new painting layer. We're going to do this underneath all of these. What I'm actually going to do is start to build out some areas over here. Actually, let's do some dirt first for our ground. And we're going to go into our decorations, and there's a whole bunch of really cool elements like this. And this is kind of what I was thinking. We'll grab something like this, a larger one actually. And I'll drop down this opacity. And we'll go right onto the house floor here, kind of. Break up some of this green a little bit. Awesome. And now once we put in all of our shadows and whatnot, this is going to really start to come together here. I think we'll adjust the colors on darken it up. Cool. Now let's go into our abandoned area over here. We'll grab some of these nature elements. And I'm going to start to add in some of these as well. So maybe some rocks up along the side of the building here. Might even put some out and around here. But we have lots of cool kind of plants that we can use here. And we're going to want to have lots of this kind of stuff growing up and around. I have this really great one as well. And this is great for kind of doing underneath these kinds of things. Make that a little bit smaller and just kind of, as you can see here, we can do like some roots kind of sticking out. And it's this kind of stuff that I really feel like really makes it feel like it's falling apart. We're going to do some, and then we'll do some over the top as well. Let's grab we might as well do a couple of ferns. And so once we get, we'll do this as create a new painting layer. I'm going to do this one in here. This. We'll have this kind of like growing up over the steps, you know? I might even put in a couple of little flowers. Super cool. And then we'll have another layer on top. And this will be like our trees. We got some nice new trees here. Let's do some of these. Like these kind of evergreens. Maybe we'll do something like this. And we'll have to do like some junk cars in the yard and whatnot too, right? Piles of tires and lots of debris. So let's go back. We have some cool things that we can kind of scatter around. So we'll go back down into this area here. See as you build this up how much cool texture we can. Yeah, this is really starting to feel very cool. I like it. Let's do some large rocks over in here. And we'll just do a couple of different ones. Create some interesting little areas. Now let's get into our automobiles and parts here. We can kind of grab some of these junkers. And what I really like doing with this is kind of piling these on top. Something like this. And again, we can go back and we'll be adding in all kinds of cool elements. Let's do a couple of like car doors. Stamp tool. And let's do plants like growing up all over it. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Spencer. Gotta have some broken glass over here. And now we can go back into this particular area. All that this stuff is. Now let's do a little bit beneath it though. So we'll go back into our decorations and go into our nature. And again, we're going to start to build some of this stuff like coming out from underneath. And we'll drop in some stuff over here. Oh, you're very welcome, Grim. Happy to do it. I have a lot of fun doing this stuff. See, by building these up over on top here, we're going to do a bunch of different plants kind of stuff. You get that feeling that they've been here for a while. And then once we add in all of our shadow information, it's going to really kind of bring this to the forefront. Do some little shrubs and bushes all over. We can turn this off and we can change this to get some different kind of shapes. Well, and then I'll break up some stuff with some lighter right over the top. And now we can go back into our tree layer, grab some of the trees. All right, we got all kinds of really cool stuff going on here. Let's grab some of these like dandelion. Kind of sporadically place these all around. And then we have, we can go into our actual litter and what, start to grab some of these piles of junk. Maybe we'll grab some of these papers. Cool. I think we're ready to start adding in some shadows. What do you guys think? I'm actually going to be painting in my shadows for this. And I'm going to call this one, double click on it, ground shadows. And let's drop this down in, right down in through here. We're going to be able to go over all of this stuff. And I'm going to drop down my colors here to something like this. Maybe a little bit darker. And I'm actually going to just paint it in completely opaque here. Then I'm going to come over and I'm going to drop down the opacity on my layer here. The reason why I do that is so that way I can adjust it after the fact. What I want to do is create some of this ambient occlusion from underneath a lot of these objects. This is going to really help kind of make this stuff feel like it is raised up off of the ground. There's some space in there as some of these shapes kind of curve in and around. And I can go right in through here. And do some nice big ones in through here. Cool. And see what I can do is I'm going to layer in another layer of shadows. We'll call this one top shadows. And again, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to drop down that opacity. And if my shadows are too dark, I can go back and readjust it after the fact. Let's just turn this right off for right now. And we can go right around here. And we can even do, we're going to do some on the inside of our building as well. I'm going to come back over in here and we can readjust this. Maybe to something like this. Good. And then I'm going to go to my ground shadows and we can readjust that as well. And now I can come back in, and if I want to do more, in these little areas, I can. And we should probably add in a guys too. And I should do some larger kind of things like this. This makes it feel like there's a little bit of elevation here and there. And we'll add in, I think we need to add in a lot more grass texture as well. So let's go into our top shadow here, and I'm going to elongate this, right? I'm going to make it long and narrow. And this is what I'm going to use to do the shadows in. Go back to round, and I'm going to do exactly. We can do little bits of shadow from the boxes. And again, I'll do some like kind of ambient random shadows in here. The corners will be darker. And we got to do our little rock and stuff. Yeah, this is starting to feel very good. Great, so I'm going to go back down into my texture down here. And I'm actually going to go into the 2019 art pack. And I think I'm going to grab this one. And lower down the opacity some. That. There we go. Make sure that this is selected and then hold down A and we can adjust our opacity just like that. Oh, we got a question from Lokotomo. I downloaded your free maps for Fantasy Grounds, but when I try to put down characters from the combat tracker, they don't appear on the map. I'm not sure. They should. So if you have, open up your combat tracker and you have something like this, you want to make sure you grab the token and just drag and drop it right onto the map. You should not be able to interact with it unless you're in the Play tab, but it should be right there. And yours is probably going to look differently than mine because I'm in Core RPG. And depending on what you are actually playing in. Make a new layer and put it underneath these ones. Savage Worlds. Yeah, it should be the same though. Make sure that you grab the actual token to drag and drop it onto the. Don't get confused with the little element on the side here. Make sure you grab the token. All right. Yeah, this is starting to look pretty cool here. Now I'm going to add in an effects layer here. Let's do just colors. I'm going to drop down opacity here. I mean the brightness here a little bit. We'll add a mask. That's a bit too dark, huh? I'm just going to do this to add a little bit more contrast to some of my shadow. And this will allow me to do nice ones inside really easily. Like I'm going to have to paint in a little bit of shadow right there too. and some nice ones from. And we could even do a little bit more in through here to accentuate that little bit of elevation that we might want to have there. And I'm going to grab this, and I'm actually going to paint this out a little bit on the ground here as well. Hey, you know what this needs? Let's back off. Let's just grab a texture. We have some good textures from Regional Map Pack. Let's grab like a nice grungy kind of texture. And we'll set it to 25 by 25. I'm going to drop this down in. We could even put it over the top of everything, and it's going to create, as you can see, like a whole additional element of like this grunginess. And then with this, drop down the opacity a little bit. That's super cool. And now let's add in one more effects layer. I'm actually going to use the time of day. We'll drop back the amount here a bit. As you can see, you can really do a lot of adjustments even after the fact. These are like post-processing. Now let's do another effects layer. Let's do some mist. Slow that down a bit, huh? At the speed. And we'll add a mask layer. Show you what I'm going to do here. We're going to add this in. We're going to blur that out quite a bit. And I'll take it away here a little. And then we're going to drop this down in. Oh, that would be because Lokotoma, you need to have either the art packs or the art subscription in order for them to work. Yeah. So in order to use those art packs, you need to have access to the art subscription or the art packs. You need to own those. It's only the metadata. It's not the actual images themselves. So a question from Svenster. What is the difference between the effect layer, time of day, and the ambient lighting? Okay, so the effect layer is just like a shader. Has no lighting information whatsoever. All it does is change the contrast and the colors of the image that we're working. It doesn't have any lighting information actually in it. Whereas the lighting system has to do with all of those rule set functionalities and everything. This reminds me of a scene that you might see in like Night of the Living Dead. And I'm going to go to the clouds layer, and I'm just going to drop down the opacity. You get this really nice, very subtle kind of like ground fog. And another neat little trick that you can kind of do is within effects layer, you can use the water layer to simulate movement in some of your plants. So we can again add a mask, and I'll show you this. We're going to get rid of our droplet. And we're going to blur that out. And we might want to drop our speed down a little. And if you want, a really cool trick is to have two different ones set differently on different plants. So you get that kind of sway back and forth. And obviously you can adjust these. So as you can see here, you get this nice little subtle kind of swaying. And you can even do it on like things of grass and what. And the more that you increase these, obviously, the more you're going to get some crazy effects going on. As you can see, it looks undulating. I really want to do like a organic. I want to do like an organic map and then all kinds of like pulsating elements and stuff. So you just get this really subtle kind of movement. And as I said, a cool thing to do is to do this two different layers so that they're not all moving in unison. And the last thing we'll do before we leave is let's do some line of sight stuff and set up some lighting. And we could set up all of our line of sight for there as well, if we so wish. We could even put in some windows and whatnot. But I'll add those in later after the fact. We're getting kind of short on time here. And so what I'll do is we'll set up some ambient lighting here. And in our ambient lighting, we'll adjust our shadows here a little bit. And then we can set up all of these, and I'll also cast shadows and add a little bit more. But maybe we'll do regular sunlight. What do you guys think? Think we should do like dawn? I like dusk for this. And we can add a mask out the inside. I actually like it kind of like this. Let's actually go in and do a couple of these other elements. Yeah, let's do something like that. And then we got to add in, I think that's pretty much it. See, doesn't that look cool? Needs like just a little bit of movement in there. Yes, Halloween map number 1. It's very cool. All right, guys, do you have any other questions? A brief demonstration on some of the stuff that we have here. Well, I also have like, let's just go into the before we head on out here. In the tiles, for example, there is a bunch of like roads. And you can take this and it can easily be painted out to any road you want to, but then we also have some of these intersections, like worn roads. I'm going to do a dirt road too. I think I'll add it to this one. I think so. We got a whole bunch of different types of roofs. Um, Metal roof, this kind of style. Lots of fun stuff. And then in the second iteration of the Abandoned Places art packs, we'll have a whole bunch more things as well to really liven things up. Oh yeah, that's true. Fallout 2D20. That'll be great. All right, guys. Do you guys have any more questions, or is there anything else that I can explain a little bit further for you? Okay, guys. Well, if there's no other questions, or if there's nothing else that I can do for you today, I'm going to call it for today. Thanks, guys, so much for hanging out with me. We'll be working on more of the stuff for the stuff with Dave and doing some more Halloween type maps this month. So super exciting. So I'll be here this next Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We usually run till about 6. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. And have a great weekend and a great week coming up. And I will talk to you all soon.